Siestas. I'm so happy to be continuing on with you in our summer Bible study, our third one in a row. This is Ruth by Kelly Mentor, and we're having a great time. I have noticed that no matter what our backgrounds, everybody's getting a word spoken to them. Whether you're married, single, younger or older, I see God speaking to all of us across the board, and I love it. There are so many things I love about serving you Siestas, but one of the things I love best, of course, the thing I love the very best is how you love Jesus, but I also love how you follow up that commandment to love Him first by loving one another. I love the WordPress format on our comments now where you can reply straight to one another. Remember the question we had 2 weeks ago, what would be the name of your novel if it was autobiographical and you had to say it in some sort of a question? What would it be? I love seeing you say over and over to one another, I want to read your book. I want to read your book. I want to pull out some of my very favorites. Of course, there were many that were deep and meaningful that caused me to stop and to ponder, but there were also some that made me smile. Like I love this one. These were names to your own novels in the form of questions. Where is my calendar? This one. Is menopause contagious? I think that's a good title. Can you hear me now? I especially love that one. Will this dog ever calm down? I wonder if you have a border collie like I have. This one, when can I have carbs again? I thought that was an excellent name of a novel in the form of a question. This was my very favorite one. This was the grand prize winner, and it was only a one-word question. Here it is. Seriously? I mean, now that is good. And then there was a tender one. I saw so many of these, but I want to answer this one because I know this one to be a fact. One of your questions and your names of your novels was, am I worth it? And I know for a fact, based on what the scripture says, that the answer to that is yes. So I love you. I'm watching how you respond. I feel that God is with us and He's teaching us, and I'm learning so much, and I love the privilege to serve you. So know that as we get started today. Now, this is our third gathering, and so everything we do in our group gathering, or with you who are going solo, I am your group. And one another is your group in your comment section of our Siesta Summer Bible Study post. So I'm saying the same thing to you that I give to a group. When I give a group instruction, I'm also giving it to you as a solo participant. So keep that in mind. Well, what we're going to do this time is that we are going to discuss our homework for the last 2 weeks. You're going to have 5 different interactives, and they'll all reflect on the 2 chapters that you would have completed for today. So you've been in weeks 3 and 4 for this particular gathering, or what Kelly is referring to as sessions 3 and 4. So our first 2 questions are going to be based on a week or session 3. Our second set is going to be on week or session 4, and then our 5th one is going to just reflect over the whole of it up to now and draw it all together. So here's where we're going. So in your group time, this is what you're going to discuss. Remember that I also have it in writing on this post if that's more convenient for you, and if that's just an easier way for you to do, just print it out and then you can have it in your group. If you can watch the video together, do it. So here we go. Number 1, based on week or session 3, you're going to turn to page 68 in your Ruth Bible study. Turn to page 68, and I want you to review that first segment where it says for discussion at the very top of the page, and it says, describe a time when you were overcome by a man's kindness. Now, about 8 of my staff members that happen to be here on Mondays, we have varying groups here throughout the week, but on Mondays, we're doing our group meeting together, and this was a very interesting discussion interactive for us. That we stopped, and each of us that had something to offer described a time when we were overcome by a man's kindness. Now, let me tell you something, ladies, and I just wonder if this will resonate with you. Many of us do a ton of women's ministry, so I'm hearing women's stories constantly. Many of you are too. We're on a blog that is made up of women, so we hear one another's struggles and one another's hurts. A number of times those hurts may be related to men in their lives, whether fathers or whether it's a male a figure in their life that has somehow misused them or abused them, or perhaps it's a husband that they've had struggles with. And my point is that if we're not careful, if we hear enough just from our own gender, we can really start getting biased and begin to lose balance where men are concerned. I never want that to happen. You never have my okay for that to happen through this format at Living Proof. because I love and respect the men in my life, and I know so many godly, God-fearing men that pursue him with such a passion. So I don't ever want us to get into that man bashing, and we haven't. I watched this carefully, and we haven't, not even through the Bible study. So I'm thankful for that. But I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to also give testimony to a time when we received an unexpected kindness. So it may be that you mention a father or a husband, but remember, for Ruth, if we're going to stay in keeping with her example, she would end up being his wife, but she doesn't know that now. He's a virtual stranger to her. When was a time of an unexpected kindness that a man showed toward you? I think that would be the sweetest thing. I hope all of you that can will give a testimony to that. So that's number one. Number two is this. You're going to turn to Ruth chapter 2 and read verses 19 through 20. I want to say that again, Ruth 2, 19 and 20. I want one of you in your small group, or you as solo, you're just going to review it. I want you to read those two verses because it gives the climactic revelation in this particular book of the Bible. So it's a huge moment. If we were listening to it or watching it in a movie, it would be when the music did just a certain thing to let us know that something critical has just taken place. So I want you to reread those two verses. And after you read those two scriptures, I want you to turn to page 85 in your workbook, page 85, and I want you to review the first couple of sentences of the paragraph in the middle of the page as follows, and I'm going to read it to you. 85, I'm in that first full paragraph. Listen to these two sentences. It's interesting that up to this point, Naomi knew that she had a kinsman redeemer named Boaz, but had no idea Ruth knew him. Ruth knew Boaz, but didn't know he was a kinsman redeemer. Suddenly, these two pieces of information collided to potentially change the course of history. Now listen, for you and me, those kinds of divinely ordained moments that come together, these what she's calling collisions that come together, they may not potentially change the course of history, but you know what? They change our history, and they often change our lives. And so I thought this would be the coolest thing. I would love to hear some of these. I really want to hear these on your comments. I want you to share, if you can think of them in your group time or as a solo participant, I want you to think of a time when God orchestrated an encounter or an experience where either you or maybe all parties or both parties involved could have been able to say, you know what, only God could have known that. You know, as I said that to you, I kind of felt some emotion in my throat because you know what, ladies? Of all the things that God has done for me, it's been something that only He could have known that has moved me the most to know that He loved me. Like, God, only you could have known I needed that right then, or only you could have put that together. Nobody else even knew, or certainly those people didn't know. Those moments have been so intimate between me and God where I knew, you know, He knows I'm alive. He knows where I am. He knows what's going on in my life in this present season. I think that we could have the neatest comments on that one. So I want you to share that. When is a time when something happened that you thought only God could have put those two pieces of that puzzle together. Only He could have ordained that encounter or that experience. Oh, that's going to be so cool. Okay.